Hello and welcome back to Liberty Nation's LNTV. I'm your host, Mark Angelides, and today I'm joined by Liberty Nation's Legal Affairs Editor, Mr. Scott DeCosenza. Welcome, Scott.
Hi, Mark.
So it's all about guns in the US these days, especially with the COVID-19 outbreak. A lot of people are wondering what's happening to their rights, what's happening to their ability to buy a firearm. Now, we all know that the gun-grabbing politicians in the States have used this crisis to try and advance their agenda. Scott, what's the latest?
Well, we have had a number of politicians try to sort of clamp down on gun sales or frustrate them, adding them into businesses that should be closed in some places. We've had suits now in Pennsylvania, New Jersey. We have had another suit that was recently filed in California for deprivation of Second Amendment rights of the citizenry there. We've also had a number of states, Mark, where the executives have reversed course. Pennsylvania's Governor Wolf went back on his executive order, which required gun stores to stay closed, and amended that and allowed them to be open. Delaware similarly did the same thing. And I think that some of those restrictions that have been placed on the stores are actually, with an attempt to frustrate those rights. So, for instance, just to pull one out of the air, Mark, Delaware, the ruling in Delaware requires that gun shops only see one person per half hour or two people per hour. So you can imagine how much that might frustrate sales at a higher volume gun store. And there are plenty of gun stores that have a physically large enough space to accommodate more people than that without compromising a 6-foot buffer zone, which we're told is, the appropriate distance. So
Scott, let me ask you, what's the development from the feds anyway?
The federal government, Mark, just added gun shop workers, firearm manufacturers to the lists of essential employees for the state of emergency executive directive. This does not have a force of law in the states. So, for instance, Pennsylvania, I told you, had included gun shops on a list of mandatory closures. If that order was still in place, this move from the feds wouldn't change it. Here's what it does do. A lot of these places, both state and locally, get their guidance from these inclusionary lists from the federal government. And so in those places, they may actually now include gun shops and the like because of this guidance from the feds. We know, Mark, in New Jersey, when they didn't include gun shops on the list, they said, hey, they're not included anywhere, including on the federal lists.
And Scott, this is clearly going to set up some kind of political loggerhead. How do you think this will play out for the election in 2020?
The courts are going to probably get through some of this stuff. I don't know if they'll do it in time, Mark, because presumably once the restrictions have lifted, those cases will not accelerate through the courts. But I think it's going to play out where the places where there is a strong sort of moderate or middle ground, they will punish politicians who try to take their rights away, which I think is why Pennsylvania, which is sort of one of these states that doesn't have a clear path, whether it's red or blue, why they changed that ruling. Now, California is a different situation. It might help the California politicians to be seen as being aggressively confiscatory when it comes to gun rights.
Scott, thanks ever so much for updating us.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks to you at home.
Hi folks, Lisa K. Donner here, Editor-in-Chief of LibertyNation.com. We hope you enjoyed watching this video, maybe even learned a thing or two. If so, please take a moment and subscribe to our YouTube channel right down there in the corner. Thanks so much.